approve the agenda as stated.
Support? All in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Hearing no opposition, the agenda is approved. We have the minutes of the regular meeting of November the 26th, 2013. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
I move that we approve the minutes of our regular meeting of November 26th, 2013.
Do we have any, do we have a support for that? Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing no opposition, motion passes. We'll get down to the first appeal. This appeal is 14-001. Now, this was canceled from January due to inclement weather, so it's a little, we're taking it a little late, but better late than never. This is for Mr. Larry Ferguson of 23669 Cloverdale Court, and it's an appeal that is going to be handled by whom?
Yes, by myself, Larry Ferguson, and Rick Bull.
Okay, Mr. Ferguson and Rick Bowen, and your address?
It's 23669 Cloverdale Court.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Rick, are you going to make the presentation?
So,
Okay. What we'd like to do, Tony, normally what we do is have you give an overview.
I can do that, Mr. Chair.
Do you want to do
I
that?
can do it,
Okay,
absolutely.
okay.
Basically what it is the Fergusons would like to add an addition to the rear of the house that would include a pool, but the project will extend 12 feet into the required 40-foot setback. And that is the primary reason why they're here for tonight. Once, if the ZBA should approve it, they will still have to go to the Planning Commission in that the project exceeds the 20% allowed, okay? And it's currently about 24.7%. It should be pointed out that we sent out notices to the property owners within 300 feet of the project as it's required by ZBA, and there were no objections to the project itself. We actually got nothing positive, nothing negative. And that's basically it.
So it's got to go before the Planning Commission because of the area coverage?
That is correct.
And not the floor, not the actual
No,
floor
that was maybe an error. It actually goes in for the lot coverage.
So it's the lot coverage?
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
And that's provided it passes here tonight.
Right, so basically we're talking about setback, rear yard
Tonight,
setback, and
we're
that's
just-
the
we're
only
just-
issue. That's the only issue in front of us.
That is correct.
Okay. Okay, thanks, Tony.
You're welcome.
Rick.
Well, good evening, everybody. As you know, we were canceled out from the January meeting. And actually, it was a bit of a bonus because it gave us an opportunity to fine-tune this a little bit. The document that you've got is a little bit different than the one that I've got. That was our preliminary plans, and seeing as we had another month, we went a little bit further on the design. So what I'm going to show you is not part of your package, but it's substantially the same. So what I'd like to do, if you could address yourself to the monitor, this is the rear yard of the existing house. And it is, I suppose I ought to start with, let's start with the site plan so that we're all oriented in the same fashion. Here's the existing house, which is shown in blue. The street is out in front. This is Cloverdale. And what we're proposing is a pool addition on the back of the house. And that's what's on the next sheet, is the actual floor plan of the pool addition. It sticks out 18 feet from this point of the house, which is an encroachment of, that Tony mentioned, into the rear yard setback. This line right here is the approximate location of the rear yard setback line. So you can see that this is the area that encroaches upon that area. This area is within the setback lines. It's a pool, a spa, some area for equipment. And we did do a rendering of the back so that you can see what it looks like. Here is the rear of the house as it exists currently. This is a covered patio area. There's the dining room behind here. I'm sorry, the kitchen, dining room. This is the living room, and then a media room off to the edge. Off to the west, I mean. And then here it is with the pool enclosure superimposed on the existing house. This area here is enclosing the pool, the spa is off here, and then there's some just area for basically an entryway in and out. So we tried.
Can you just slide back a little so we can maybe see them both? Right there, yeah.
Can we zoom out a little bit?
That's good.
Do I have the technology to do that here?
They did.
Oh,
There you go.
there we go.
Thanks for...
Yeah, this is the best representation probably. This is what you'd see from the rear yard. This is what would be encroaching, would be this area here.
We're eliminating the cage over top of the hot tub.
Yeah, this is the gazebo basically. And I think there's two mitigating circumstances here to take a look at when you're trying to decide whether to grant the variance for the zoning ordinance or for the rear yard setback. One is the shape of the lot. Basically, a big chunk of this corner is taken out because of the cul-de-sac. Had it been a traditional sized lot and the building were placed respecting the front yard, traditionally put on the lot, respecting the front yard setback, our pool enclosure would be entirely within the footprint. It is not, because the house is actually constructed like this so that you can maintain the 40-foot setback to the front yard. I think the other thing to note is to take a look at the property that's behind. This is lot 15. This is the lot that we're dealing with. This is, I'm not sure what the name of the subdivision is, but it's Nottingham Drive, which is unimproved at the moment, and there are no utilities to this particular area. So, and where this property is butting up to a road end, which probably won't be developed in the future because it would be a road into Mr. Ferguson's backyard. So of course,
You're saying they probably won't develop it back there?
probably not. You can see that this road end for this undeveloped property lines up with Chicory Road. So this may go through at some point. Here is a road end that dead ends into a platted lot. And then this is another road end that dead ends into a platted lot. So I suspect that the two of these will be vacated if this property ever gets developed.
Yeah, because what's back there now is just like a bunch of trees and stuff.
It's just a
Woods.
field, yeah.
So it is undeveloped, and there's no plan to do anything else.
There's multiple owners of that property behind us. And we've contacted the person that owns the property behind us twice to try to talk to him about purchasing those lots. And we've got no response both times.
Which lots did you ask to acquire, 733 and 734? Or the road end?
Correct.
I think this parcel here belongs to the fellow that you talked to. All of these lots.
733 and 734.
Yeah. And it looks like this is split up amongst a number of owners, so if a developer were going to try to develop this property, he would have to, put all the lots together. So I guess there's two arguments I would like to make in favor of granting the variance to the rear yard. One is the shape of the lot, because the house is situated on a lot such that you really can't develop the backyard the way you traditionally would on a lot platted without that cul-de-sac. And the second is that the fact that it's unlikely that this property to the rear will ever be developed, and those would be the folks that would be imposed upon, if I can use that word, by a zoning variance.
But even if it were developed back in the back, would that be an objection to the person who's building the house in the back? I mean, would you think that it would?
I personally don't think so. I mean, you're looking at the back of a relatively large house that's, got a lot of architectural details to it. So from the standpoint of the building, I don't think there would be any objection, no.
Yeah, is that lot in back big enough that if they ever do position a house there, that it wouldn't be close to the rear property line?
So my understanding is those lots are too skinny to be built on. It would all have to be
You'd have to
redone.
You'd have to do a lot of lot combinations, yes. I can't read what the depth is. I'm thinking it's,
I think they're 50-foot wide.
looks like they're 50 foot wide, and they might be about 130 feet deep, maybe. If this dimension is 160, it's something less than 160.
Yeah, my only feeling would be that, and this isn't going to be an open pool. It's going to be
No.
an enclosed pool. With an open pool, you've got a lot of activity, you got a lot of kids, that would be something that would be maybe not desirable from somebody who's living in the back. But this is an entirely enclosed pool, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. I was going to make that argument that you can actually build a unenclosed pool up to 6 feet away from the rear property line. And this particular pool is further away from the property line. We happen to be enclosing it, but that's really an advantage because I think, as Jim was alluding to, it cuts down. I mean, any noise, any music, any maintenance is all contained inside a building. So there basically is no pool impact on any of the neighbors at all.
Mr. Ferguson, did you build the house? Are you the original owner of that home?
Correct, yes.
The drainage easement or the utility easement, has that already taken place, or are we going to excavate at some future time?
Behind us, I don't believe that there's nothing done back there.
No, I believe that's
It's an easement that goes with this lot 15,
that's what I.
and it looks to be virgin stuff back there, right?
Yeah, there's nothing back there.
Is that for the people that theoretically are behind you? I mean, are they going to have to excavate at some point in the future to,
There could be an easement between the subdivisions.
okay, and that
That's a
would further that
possibility.
would improve the distance between your house and their yard?
Might
You think that's for drainage then?
be, not sure.
It says private easement for public utilities and surface drainage. The last 18 feet.
But your utilities come in all from the front, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if this is to feed the next subdivision, and if it continues on the other side.
It's a good question. I don't know the answer to that.
So, Rick, our question, normally what we look to the owner to provide us is, have they looked at any circumstances where it would mitigate going from a 12-foot variance down to an 8-foot variance or a 4-foot variance? Have you looked at anything like that?
Well, we did do a little bit when we flushed these plans out a little bit. If you can refer back to, well, I've got it here. We did pull the back wall in a little bit. The original drawing that we presented was a full depth all the way across the back. And when we got to detailing the plans a little bit, we actually pulled that back wall in a little bit. So we actually have now 29 feet and some inches at the corner. So we have done a little bit of that. I mean, if your question is, could we slide this back in to make it within the 40-foot rear yard setback?
I don't think you can do that.
No,
But-
I don't think that's
But what we look
doable.
at is lessening the variance. That's basic, so that's what we look for, is have you made an overt gesture to try to lessen the variance?
I don't know, you might slide that in a little bit. I mean, you might pick up a foot or two. If that's the sort of thing that would move the pool just a little bit closer to the house.
Now, this is a custom-built pool, right? It's not a...
Yeah.
Correct.
So in summarizing, what do you got to say, Rick? Or, what's your basic reason?
Well, I
for
think
it?
I've got two points to make in support of the variance. One is the lot shape, and I think we've looked at that, and the original house had to be cocked a little bit to fit it on the lot, and as a result, the amount of space in the rear yard is not available. And I think the other thing is that the lots behind us will be undeveloped, so the impact on what would be an adjacent neighbor, I think, is very small. Coupled with the fact that that property, we attempted to purchase that property, right, and Mr. Ferguson did, and it's not available at this point.
Is that typical of the properties in that area where you have that short of a rear yard? Is that kind of typical for that area?
Yeah, it does run like that for the yard next to you. The
Correct.
vacant lot, it'd be the same thing.
Yeah,
So it's not
this is a pretty densely developed subdivision. The lots are nice-sized lots, but they're big houses. The coverage ratios are bumping up
Yeah.
to the top end of in this entire area. So, yeah, I would suspect that most of the rear yards are at the setback minimums. And I guess before I forget it, you want to give that to Mr. Bittinger?
Rick, can I just ask you, was there any thought of bringing the back wall in and going longer, maybe going more towards using the land towards the covered patio, or changing the covered patio at all? Going this way instead of out?
Yeah, we did think about that. Now, the problem with that is that
There's the bay window.
yeah, I didn't show it on here. Let me. There is an existing sliding glass door here and here
Okay.
that we'd rather not cover up. Unfortunately, going this way is a very good option, because this is a media center and we're already abandoning one of these rooms because it's mostly, closed. Unfortunately, as we move that way, we go more into the rear yard setback because of the angle.
Yeah, and your sketch up there is different than what what I see here.
Yes.
So
Yes,
the
it
question was based on mine, and I can see based on yours that's not.
Yeah, we did pull in a little bit
Yeah,
and go that
yeah.
way some.
Okay.
Excellent idea. I mean,
Have you got all the detailed drawings done now?
we have not.
So you haven't proceeded with that until you get approval?
Yeah. In fact, that was the reason that we submitted the original plan, which had very little detail, and then we had another month, so we said, well, let's see if we can flush this out and maybe make our argument a little bit stronger.
Mr. Ferguson, the letter you gave me on the on your neighbors? Are those all your neighbors, immediate neighbors, or?
Those are the Watsons, which are 3 houses away, the Barton family, which is right next door. Next door, Helen Molnar, she owns the lot next door, she signed. And then over on Calm Meadow Court, where they would see into the backyard, is the Lyons house, and they signed.
So
So
you
we've
got a
got
pretty
this-
good representation.
Yeah, and then two lots to the left of my house, when you're looking, we actually own that lot. So
Okay.
that would be all the lots around us.
So the house immediately to your east is one of the people that signed that agreement there?
Yes,
Lot
Okay.
14,
yes.
as well as these 2 lots too, right?
Just lot 23.
Lot 23.
So lot 23, lot 16, lot 14, 13, and 12
Okay.
would have been all taken care of.
Yeah, so those are actually all the immediate adjacent neighbors.
Mhm.
So it would just cut back on their east to west view from their backyards is all, they would just lose if that
Correct.
structure, it doesn't do anything other than cut back their U line or sight line.
Right, from
And
the,
they're agreeing to your request, in essence. Okay.
Okay, do we have any more discussion from the board? Any questions from the board? Do we have anybody in the audience that would care to address this variance? Are there any, is there anybody? Okay, seeing none, I think we're probably ready to vote. I think we can see if we can get a motion on the variance.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that appeal number 14-001 be approved with the contingency that they, if it is approved, that they go before the Planning Commission for approval of the
Lot coverage.
lot coverage area.
Okay,
I'd be more than happy to second the motion. I think we should put in there also, it's due to the fact that the lot is different size than typical lot in that subdivision, and the encroachment also goes to a non-developed area that may not be developed in the future.
so, yeah, I don't,
What would you add to it? I mean, what would you add to the motion?
Just the fact that it's because of the lot size and.
Well,
the
not a
shape-
lot
the shape
size,
of
but a
the
regular lot.
The lot shape and the.
Right,
cul-de-sac.
okay.
Yeah.
so that was you would add the hardship, the lot size hardship.
Do you have
Is
that,
that-
Lori? Okay.
Okay.
That's fine with me.
That's why.
Okay, the lot size hardship is included in the motion? Okay, and we have support from
Or you
Bob?
want to say lot configuration, though, wouldn't you, not lot size?
Well,
Yeah, configuration.
Yeah.
It's because of the cul-de-sac.
Right.
As Rick was mentioning.
having to
Configuration.
pull the corner in.
You want the neighbors that stating that they know to be developed or no?
No,
Yeah, I don't think that's necessary.
there is no.
Okay.
So what is our motion again?
Motion to approve with the,
Friendly amendment,
pardon me?
with a friendly amendment from Bob.
Yeah, and the condition that they go to the planning commission
Yeah.
for.
Now, that's a requirement anyway. You can't get around
Right.
That
that.
is correct.
Yeah, okay. And you know that. You got to go to the
Yeah,
planning
yes.
commission.
Okay, then we don't need that.
Yeah, okay. So we got the motion, we got the support. We have any discussion? Hearing no discussion, can we have a vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Hearing no opposition, the motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Good job.
Good luck with your project.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, what we're going to do now is, seeing that Rick Bull has the next presentation, he's the architect for the next applicant, we're going to take a 10-minute recess here and let him consult with his people, the other people, and so it's 10-minute recess. Okay, thank you.
most of the guys you're not going to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we're ready to reconvene here at a little after 7:30. This is appeal number 14-002. It's for Mr. Kurt Plitschke. Is that, am I pronouncing that?
You're doing a fine job. Plishke.
Plitschke, of 10,200 Loma Circle, requesting a zoning variance, and it's for an encroachment into the front yard. And representing the applicant is, again, Rick Bowl. Rick, right? And to give us a little overview, Tony, you want to give us?
Basically, you already said it, encroachment front yard. It's pretty simple. Basically, the applicant wants to do a covered porch that encroaches just over 3 feet into the 40-foot required front yard setback. Okay. We sent out the necessary letters to folks within 300 feet of the project based on ZBA requirements. We had 2 letters of support, one that did not favor the project. So that's about it.
Okay. Before we start, Rick, you know, I was fumbling through the drawing here, and you put the plot plan on the last page. The
Yeah.
last page of the...
It's like when you go to the accountant, you know, and he starts reading through the financial statement, says, well, I'll go to page 12 and then back to page 2. I apologize about that.
Yeah, okay. I didn't ask for an apology, that was a comment. Okay, you want to give us an overview and why we should approve the variance?
Well, let me start off by describing the project to you. Is that there is an existing residence on Loma Circle, and it, let's see, where's my photograph? This is the existing residence, and what we're proposing is basically adding this covered porch over the front door. This is part of a larger project that also adds a covered porch on the rear, but that's compliant, so it doesn't really come before the board tonight. But what's happening is that we're seeking a variance to stick the front 3 feet, 1.5 inches of these 2 posts and this roof into the front yard. And I guess that's kind of the long and the short of it. I think our argument in favor of allowing this or granting a variance in this particular case is that I always take a look at the setbacks as trying to make sure that you don't put something up that's going to infringe on your neighbors or create an eyesore in the neighborhood or a detrimental addition to a project. I think architecturally this fits, and I think in terms of impact on the neighbors it's very small. This is the front yard. It's separated by the people across the street by the right-of-way, which I'm thinking is 60-some feet here. So the encroachment, I would think, would have little impact on the neighbors across the street, which we've got a couple of letters from, right? We've got one neighbor across the street.
Right, and so to add to what Mr. Gray had mentioned, that there were 2 letters that were sent in. One was in favor and one was against. Over the course of the weekend, I gathered 2 more letters from other neighbors who received the letter from the board in favor of the project. So perhaps I could...
I think we have...
We have 2 that were
We have
approved
we
and
have
one
2
was-
that, yeah. 2. We
Yeah,
have
Lori
2
gave
that
us the
say
2, right?
that are in
One-
favor
There
of
should
one.
be 4 letters in total.
Okay, we have 3.
Yeah,
3. I have 3. 1 against.
3.
We have 3 for and 1 against.
That is correct. All right.
Okay.
Okay.
So we
Yeah,
have...
I don't have one of them, that's all.
Yep, that's what it's going to look like.
Rick,
Is it a patio in front of the door now?
Right, there is an existing cement slab that we're just basically, we wish to cover.
okay, you're not extending that
I
slab.
believe it will be extended 6 inches further into the setback.
Okay, okay. So, but not, you're not changing the sidewalk that's there?
But it is not our intention to
Okay,
change, not
and-
initially at least. to
Because
change-
right now, if I saw it correctly, there's a little sidewalk coming
Yes.
out and some bushes.
Yes,
And you're just basically putting a cover over that.
that's right.
Yeah, we're moving the front edge of the front porch out to miss the existing foundations. So it's bigger than the existing one by about 12 inches or so.
If I may ask, has everybody had a chance to, or did everybody take a look at it? Because if you didn't, I mean, I was out there. I don't see how it would impact either person on either side of you. And the people across the street are set back so far, it's not going to have an impact.
Yeah, well, I was there, and I had the same comment. When I looked at the house to the west,
Yes.
it looked like a part of that was into the setback. Was that structure into the setback? Because I was kind of trying to eyeball it. And
I'm
they're
not
saying,
sure.
Oh, I can't say that I've ever paid that close enough attention.
yeah, well, that's what it looked. I don't know, Tony, did you see? But it looked like that house to the west. It was encroaching into the 40-foot setback too. I don't know if it shows it.
Well, here is the house
That-
to
yeah.
the west. It's a little bit difficult to
Yeah.
tell, I think, from that angle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At any rate, I mean,
Yeah.
I just,
Yeah.
when I go out and visually look at things, I look at the neighboring structures and I say, I mean, does it fit in or doesn't it fit in? And I think, like Jim said, as far as I'm concerned, there's no nuisance factor at all.
No.
There are other homes that have a similar design as far as the front porch is concerned also.
Yeah, the only other thing that you could say is don't put a cover over the front porch, then you wouldn't have to come for a variance. And
Yeah.
so, what's your answer to that?
Well, my answer, if we were, one of the mitigating factors, I guess, let me see if I can get this out, is that if we were asking for a variance to build 4 walls around there, or 3 walls out from the house, I'd say, well, you might have some impact. But basically, what is encroaching are the columns, really, because the way the ordinance is written, you measure your setback from whatever the first piece of structure it is.
Correct.
So the front edge of that column is what's encroaching. So basically, it's all open. I mean, so you're seeing a roof, which is in line with the existing roof, and you can actually look right through this thing. It's the columns, really, that are encroaching is kind of the way I'm looking at it, which is a pretty minor encroachment because
Yeah. Looks
the
good.
structure is open. Yeah.
And I guess what I'd like to add to that, one of my motivating factors for seeking the variance to put the cover on the porch in the first place is because of the orientation of the front of the house towards the south. It not only gets it gets the weather. And oftentimes when I have people over, we do a lot of entertaining, we can't really use the front door because it's so fully exposed. If it's raining and you're standing at my door, you're standing in the rain or the snow or the sleet or what have you. And so then we end up taking our guests in through the garage, kind of in through the back way. And this variance would allow me to put a porch there so that I can stop bringing my guests through the garage.
How long have you lived there?
Since 1996.
96. How old is the house?
Was built in 88.
88.
Where do the objecting neighbors live in relationship to your lot?
They are
To the
immediately
right.
to the
Yeah.
east.
Okay, they are immediate neighbors?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, if you look at this, you can see the house behind this pine tree.
Yeah. And Chuck, their house is set
Way back.
way back. They do not see this at all. They have to basically come to the edge of their drive, or almost to the edge of their drive to before they're going to see this. So it has no impact from a sight line back.
Well, that's evident. Their house is shown on the LSL planning overview photograph, so let's show them that picture.
Yeah, there. Yeah, you can see real well there.
Yeah, this is probably a little hard to see on the monitor, but this is the house where the neighbors are not in favor. This is the Litchka's house.
Yeah, it's
and
in,
then this is the...
Brian's.
That's the Beatty's house, for whom we have a letter of support.
Correct.
The neighbor to the immediate west,
Mm-hmm.
the Beatty's.
You have anything else to add there, Rick?
I don't think so. I think it's, we've touched on everything that I can think of.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Any further discussion from the board? Hearing none, can we have a motion?
I would make a motion that appeal number 14-002 be approved.
You have support?
Support.
Okay. Discussion, any further discussion? If not, then we'll vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Hearing no opposition, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And good luck with your project.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we have the next item on the agenda is item number 7, which is the annual election of officers. We have the election of the chairperson, vice chairperson, and secretary. We have some of the board members that are missing, but since we do have a quorum, I think we can go ahead with the election. And unless somebody feels uncomfortable with that, but I think we should go ahead with it. Is that okay with everyone? Okay. All right. So let's get to it.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that Mr. James Bittinger be elected chairperson for the upcoming fiscal year from April 1st, 2014 through March 31st, 2015.
So we have support, we have discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing no opposition. So we have the chairperson of Jim Bentinger. Okay, the vice chairperson. Can we have a motion on the vice chairperson?
Jackie Davis is the chair, currently. And
Who's the other people missing?
We
John Carnago
Carnago
and Gary.
Gary Bailey. So the question we got before us is, with Jackie not present, can we proceed with? Do we see a nomination for Jackie? I mean, if that's true.
Well, Jackie actually had missed a number of meetings, and I would make a motion that Gary Bailey, who was here, most of the meetings, I would like to make a motion that Gary Bailey be elected vice chairperson. Nothing against Jackie, just the fact that she wasn't here for a number of meetings. And, that's open to discussion, and I'd certainly like to hear from the rest of the commission or the board.
Yeah, well, the vice chair is
thought?
important in that in the absence of the chairman,
Yeah.
you have to have somebody
Yeah.
available, and that's
That's
That's your point. That's your
my
point.
point.
And I agree with you because some of the absence was death in the family, but other times
I don't know whether it's work or what, but I would agree that she has missed a lot of meetings.
okay. So we have a motion for
No.
Gary Bailey on the table.
We need a support.
Do we have support for that?
I have support.
We have support. We have
Yeah.
discussion. Hearing no discussion, can we have a vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Hearing no opposition, so we have Gary Bailey as the vice chair, and we will now get back to him, because him not being here, we're going to have to get his agreement to that, and which we probably will get. So, okay, so we've got the chairman and the vice chair named, and now we have the secretary. Do we have a motion on the secretary?
I nominate Bob Pierce.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion for Bob Pierce, seconded. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Hearing no opposition. Motion carries. We have the secretary. Continuing secretary. Okay. With that, Lori, have you got all that down there? Okay, all right. So with that, that completes item number 7. Now, do we have any comments, miscellaneous, to discuss?
Lori, I'd just like to ask, does it look like we have anything for next month?
No.
Right now? Okay. But it would be March 25th, the day after our annual meeting, the board.
So it's good that we have the officers named.
Yes.
Yeah. Did the planning commission, did they get their putting?
I don't, is it on the planning commission agenda for officers? I don't think so. No.
Double check.
Yeah, we have, we need to get those in because we need them for the annual meeting, so one way or another, every commission and
Well,
board has to have.
there's only one question in my mind is, there are some people, are they being reappointed or are they dropping out?
It's up to the
Well, see,
commission to
we've never
figure
done
that
it,
out.
we've never done it on planning quite so early,
What do you
so,
mean?
as election of
Oh.
officers.
Oh, maybe, you know what, you may do it, you may have done it like in November already
I
for
think
that.
Brian was talking to
Yeah.
John Schwechter.
Yeah,
For
so
that.
it might be,
We do-
rather
we
than
do.
right
So it's
now, you might have done
so
it
it's a
earlier.
time
Yeah.
factor. Our
Yeah.
time factor is
Our-
different than theirs.
Correct,
Yeah.
correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, Tony, thank you for giving your.
Believe it or not, I actually have a question for Lori. Oh, don't worry. Did you say today that the Fergusons are on the planning commission the next?
Yes, March 3rd.
Okay, so they are already on it.
Yes.
Thought you folks would want to know.
Okay, do we have any other comments? Can we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Planning Commission, zoning board is adjourned. We don't want to be joined.